Just about 1 week from now will mark 1 month since the Israel-Hamas war began. The efforts to assist those overseas are happening from here at home. Natalie Kuchko spoke to the leader of one of Rochester's largest Jewish community nonprofits. She just returned from a support mission overseas. Natalie joins us in studio with more.
Adam, Meredith Dragon, CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester, spent 48 hours in Israel. As you mentioned, she just got back. Her first visit back since the war began. There, she supported families of hostages and others directly affected by the war in Gaza. The local representation, she feels, was especially important. In 48 hours, Meredith Dragon says she could feel the weight of the war and the impacts on those in Israel, a feeling unfamiliar from her visits before.
And it's a bustling, thriving country, so there's a quiet grief that you really could feel that was palpable across the country.
Dragon leads the Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester and was one of 20 people to make this trip, organized by the Jewish Federations of North America. She stayed in Jerusalem and spent much of her time supporting the families of hostages in Tel Aviv and Netanya, and to help those directly affected by the terror attacks from Hamas.
This trip was really specifically about standing in solidarity with the people of Israel. There was a lot of grief and there's a lot of anger. And being with families of hostages, the most important message that people wanted to get out there was that we cannot forget that there are 240 people being held hostage in the hands of terrorists. And that's extraordinarily scary.
On her second day, Dragon says she boarded a bus to begin to head home when an alert signaled on her phone of a rocket launch in that area, temporarily moving her to a bomb shelter with dozens of others. Her role to console those in distress.
It was really important for me to be there because of the deep ties between our Rochester community and Israel. I felt like people needed to see us. They needed a hug. And additionally, I feel like all of those families who day in and day out worry about their children who are held hostage, their loved ones who are held hostage, they needed to hear from around the globe that we have not forgotten them and that we are going to do everything possible within our power to make sure they get home safely. That was a message that they needed to hear, and I was really proud to bring that message from our community.
The Jewish Federation of Greater Rochester does have another trip to Israel planned for February, but Dragon says she hopes to gather a group to visit in the coming weeks ahead of Thanksgiving. In the studio, Natalie Kuchko, News 8.